Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contracts, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Felicity Hassan on the line, and she's Managing Director over at Audeliss and INvolve. Felicity, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so excited to get more into the businesses that you're working on and a little bit more about what they do. So just to get us kicked off, let's just start off with what you're doing over at Audeliss. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Thanks so much, Adam. So Audeliss is a really exciting organization. What we do is the executive search, specifically geared towards leveling the playing field for diverse talent. So that has always been our mission. We were established in 2011. And then moved over to the U.S. in 2018. Really exciting, really kind of focused on the concept of widening the gate rather than lowering the bar and debunking that myth that diversity equals compromise. It doesn't, not if you're looking for the right candidate. So that's what we do on the search side. So we look at executive, we look at board, we offer talent pipelining work and mapping. That's kind of the mainstay of that business.
And so what are at the end of this, I'm going to give you an opportunity to leave your website or contact or wherever else you'd like for listeners to follow up. But I do want to make sure that the right types of individuals and companies do connect. What are the type of clients that are typically a good fit to work with Audeliss?
So really our focus is on diversity in the first instance rather than sector or function. So we work with all different industries and all different roles. The common thread through is diverse and executive level. So we are a retained search firm, so it really only makes sense to work with us if you're specifically looking to retain a firm. And the clients that we're working with at the moment span from, Google, eBay to Greenhouse, RTS. So really from Goldman Sachs, so it really kind of spans from like Series B to Series D kind of startups right the way through to kind of like massive tech and massive financial services.
All right, Felicity, so at the end of this, I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave, your website, all that other good stuff so that the right types of individuals and organizations can follow up, but I do want to make sure that the right ones do connect. So what's typically the right type of fit that's to work with Audeliss?
So we work across sector and so that takes us to organizations because really what defines what we do is retained search. So people come to us when they have a tricky senior executive position that they're looking to fill. So that can be organizations that are startup from Series B to D, like a Greenhouse or an RTS, to major tech and service providers like eBay and ADP, through to financial services like Morgan Stanley. We really we run the gamut in terms of the industries that we work on. And in terms of the actual opportunities that we specifically focus on, that too is pretty broad and diverse, but I would say commonly underpinned with the theme of what are the areas that have historically not been very diverse. So I would say commonly we're pulled into searches that specifically target opportunities like finance, so chief financial officers, chief strategy officers, VP of sales, those roles that have commonly been straight white men. So I think really kind of the common thread and the people who should get in touch with us are looking for a senior executive and they're looking to retain a firm to do that search. and they're looking for a diverse executive. That's really the main theme. Outside of that, we're pretty industry and function agnostic.
Awesome. Let's go a little bit further into what you're doing over at INvolve. So tell us a little bit more about that company, please.
Thank you. So if Audeliss is bringing diverse candidates in, what we identified a couple of years into Audeliss, so call it 2013, was there's very little value in actually bringing a diverse candidate in if they don't stay. Because it's actually, statistically harder to be a diverse candidate, to be the first African-American or Black candidate, the first Hispanic Latinx candidate, the first woman that comes into an organization. It's harder. You're under more of a spotlight in that position. So the chances of you being successful in that role are lower in many instances. So we wanted to come up with a solution as to how we could kind of change the odds on that and make the diverse candidate successful. Really, in many ways, to, again, disprove this theory that a compromise was reached in order to bring that diverse candidate in. So what INvolve does is it's an advisory organization that helps organizations to develop a culture of inclusion. And we do that through multiple different channels: mentoring, roundtables, trainings, toolkits, panel discussions, emerging leaders programs for the up-and-coming diverse candidates in your population, whole different suite of opportunities and approaches that we take really to optimize inclusion and belonging within your organization so that you can kind of build a succession plan organically. So I always like to say, if Audeliss brings the diverse candidates into the organization, INvolve ensures that you keep them.
Man, that's awesome. I love it. It's a whole ecosystem, really cultivating these executives and bringing diversity to the workplace. I think it just makes a lot of sense. What kind of response have you heard, both from the companies and from the applicants or the placed individuals? Because it's very unique. I've worked with I've interviewed a ton of different firms, executive search firms, other things, and it's just quite unique the way you're going about this.
I've actually been incredibly impressed by the response that I received. I've been in the U.S. since 2008. I'm clearly English by background, but I've been here since 2008, and I've been incredibly impressed by the response that I've got from the market to their commitment to diversity. I think most of the clients that we're working with, and it doesn't matter where they are in their conception of what diversity, equity, and inclusion means to them. Some of them are doing this for a compliance reason. Some of them are doing this because of lawsuits. Some of them are doing this from bad press following Black Lives Matter. That actually doesn't worry me so much. The point is that they have gotten to the point where they want to take action. And this is the time to do that. So what I'm excited about in the market and what I hear from people is that our unique approach helps them to get to that point where they can really start to see quantifiable results. And that's what they're looking for. They really want to move the needle. They may not have been successful about it in the past. They may not have known how to get to that point. And that's what we do. We give them the how. So the response has been really encouraging. It's as you say, it has demonstrated the fact that there's a real need for a firm that really focuses on intersectional diversity in an authentic and holistic way, looking at the full life cycle of a candidate as they come into an organization and cycle through. Because there are gaps there. There are organizations that help bring candidates in, but they're not specifically focused on diversity. There'll be an internal cycle which helps with onboarding, but it tends to be incomplete. And then there'll be things like employee resource groups within an organization, but they tend to be sort of haphazard in terms of, which ones are run effectively and not. So really kind of going in and being able to be a one-stop shop for them to come to gain advice and insights into how they can optimize both their recruiting channels, how that injects into their entire talent strategy from kind of start to finish, and then look at all of those kind of retention mechanisms and training and tools that they can use along the way. That is something which they find incredibly valuable. And as I say, we do it from a very practical standpoint. There's academics in there, but the focus isn't on giving you a high-level academic overview of what this means. It's practical guidance on just how to be decent, how to make people feel like they belong.
Wow, that's awesome. And so, Felicity, if somebody is listening to this and they want more information on working with you and your team, I mean, what's the best way, and for either Audeliss or INvolve, I mean, what's the best way for them to connect?
Well, first of all, they can reach out to me direct. My email is very simple. It's felicity@audeliss.com. Audeliss is AUDELISS. Or they can reach out to our website to learn more, which is, again, just audeliss.com. And on the INvolve side, it's involvepeople.org.
Fantastic. Well, Felicity, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing all your great work for you and your team and all the great things you're doing. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review in the Apple iTunes store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Felicity, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks, Adam.